Against the double team, Jeffrey Moore has open access to the bucket. What you saw from that normal replay of that last bit of action was Juan Fernandez actually wanting to dish off the against pass to Jaworski. We're crossing the twilight zone. That's an eternity of basketball ahead of us.
An eternity of basketball is part of the Globally Ballin Network. And being part of the Globally Ballin Network, we have some sister shows. One of them is Who the Heck Are We? And their latest episode has Francis Ducky Glindro, head coach of Bren MLBB. Check that out on the Who the Heck Are We page. Most popular episodes on YouTube. For our show, Bernie Fabiosa all the way down to Manny Paner and the Crispin Toyota guys and Yo-Yo Martirez somewhere there in between. The Globally Ballin Network has original articles, audio, and video projects. Check out globallyballin.com for all of that. And you can catch our live episodes now on Twitter. Go to the Globally Ballin Twitter page, and you can catch us there as well, aside from Facebook and on YouTube. Follow us on social media, linktree/globallyballin for easy access to all of that. Okay, so here we go. This is episode 147, and I'm Charlie Cuna together with Sid Ventura and Noel Zarate doing some Zen work right there.
My neck is killing me.
Noel Zarate. So this is episode 147. So let's get to it right away. Bit of a late start for us. Our guest for today, if you were a Ginebra fan in the early 90s, you will not forget this fellow because their team was down 1-3 in a final series. This guy helped them come back all the way to get the seven-game series para sa Ginebra. Of course, lots of dramatics, lots of slams and jams. A native of Fresno, California. Let's bring him in right now. You know, some people think he's an actor in Hollywood. Looks like an actor. Let's talk about that later. But let's bring him in, Jervis Cole. Hey Jervis, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, thanks for coming on. And it's a great time during your time here in the PBA. You know, Ginebra was up and up, crazy championship series against Shell. But let's go way back. Let's reverse and start from the start. I know you're from Fresno. Went in Easton. You studied at the Washington Union. How did you get started in the sport of basketball? What made you choose basketball in a country where there's so many other sports to choose from?
Actually, I was one of those kids you call a knucklehead early on. I really didn't think about sports much. I have a twin brother, Jarvis. He played, football, soccer, basketball, you name it. I absolutely didn't play any sports. And then once I got to the 7th, 8th grade, I started playing a little bit more soccer. I didn't start playing basketball until probably the first month or so of the 8th grade year. I just played pickup. I never played basketball. I started doing some football stuff without my mom knowing. So my twin brother and I used to play football for one of the top Pop Warner teams in our area, and she didn't even know we were playing. So we used to sneak off because she didn't want us playing football. So I was more of a football guy and started playing a little bit of basketball. All of the coaches started noticing our team. We had a really good team in the 8th grade. And from that point on, we got recruited basically to high schools, and the rest was history.
How tall were you by then when you started in the 8th grade? How were you already about 6 foot plus?
No, I was, God, I think I was like 5'10" or something.
All right.
My brother and my friends were taller than I was. And within like one summer, I grew like 6 inches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I got to high school, literally when I went to the 9th grade, from the 8th, I was 6'4" my freshman year in high school. And so for me, it was just a big growth spurt. So I went past my brother and all my friends. We went 29-0 our freshman year. We played JV, which was a level up from freshman. Both of us got called up to varsity our freshman year to play in the playoffs. The following year, I was a starter on the varsity team. That was really good. We lost state championship in the semis twice, and then we finally won state championship my senior year, 29-0. So we had a really, really good team, and I was blessed to have some great coaches around me, and really taught us the game of basketball early on.
So when you were honing your skills in the sport of basketball, did you have any idols in the NBA that you said, I want to be like this guy?
Well, the funny thing, it was more Fresno State for me. It was we had a lot of guys that was at Fresno State that was going to the pro. Guys like a guy named Rod Higgins, who became one of Michael Jordan's friends. Bernard Thompson, Ron Anderson, who was Sixth Man of the Year with the Sixers.
Right.
There were tons and tons of guys. Pete Verhoeven, all these guys that was coming out of Fresno State was one of the reasons I chose to go to state. So when I was working out and getting ready for games, I wasn't even really thinking about pro. I was always just thinking about college and emulating my games after the Fresno State guys. And when Michael Jordan started to emerge, I started watching more. Of course, everybody was watching Dr. J and Magic back in the day, and so it was more the Fresno State guys. Then I started watching Magic, Michael, Kareem, of course, with an unstoppable skyhook. So I just started, once I started getting good and I saw I had probably an opportunity to go past high school into college, that's when I started focusing more on pro and what pro players was doing. So I started trying to pattern my game more after guys like that, like Michael Jordan and other guys. And I was just a physical player all the way around. So I was never afraid to play.
Yeah. Jervis, you mentioned you had a twin brother, right, Jarvis? Did
Yes.
he also undergo that 6-inch growth spurt over the summer, or?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We're fraternal. So he got the short end of the stick.
I saw a photo.
Yeah, he was. He was still a really good athlete. He became the starter as a quarterback. He did go to college to Fresno Pacific. At the time, it was an NAIA school. Now it's a D2 school. So, we still both went to college. It was just I was a little bit more blessed with, a little bit more height, a little bit more quickness. But he was still a great player, unbelievable shooter.
What's his height, Jervis? Now, I'm talking about Jarvis.
He's probably like 6'3".
Okay, not bad at all, especially with Filipino standards. I'd take that any day.
Yeah. Having a twin brother that was a couple inches shorter, and I was getting all of the colleges looking at me. So I was always sensitive to that fact that I was the one that was getting more of the accolades, but he was just as responsible for our championships that I was or anyone else on the team.
It stands out to me that you were looking or idolizing Fresno players, guys from there. It really shows your roots, where you are and how proud of a Fresno resident your family was, Jervis. But you mentioned Bernard Thompson. Do you know that he played in the PBA as well?
Yeah, I know Bernard did, and we talked about that a little bit. We bumped into each other over in, I think it was Israel or somewhere in France. So, I think I talked to Bernard maybe 6 months ago. I'm head of Fresno State alumni, so I have opportunities to talk to all of the ex-players and work with guys. So, I'm fortunate to still be heavily involved in the school.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, you got to hook him up. Hook him up with us, okay, Bernard Thompson.
Oh, yeah,
I'm bringing him on the show. Huh?
This thing, I love Bernard, so I'm sure he'd love to come on.
Yeah, because he's an NBA guy as well. It would be great to talk to him. But so you're there. You're playing at Washington Union with your great coaches, as you said, and there's a lot of success there. How does that translate as far as the scouts coming in and trying to recruit you for college? I mean, were there a lot of people coming in at Washington Union from outstate?
Yeah, there were schools coming from everywhere. BYU, God, you name it, they were coming in, or I'm getting letters from everyone. And we were fortunate. We had a really good team, a really good coach. Our coach ended up being our defensive coach at Fresno State. We didn't experience too many losses, and so we were in Sports Illustrated in high school. We had a team that was a powerhouse in the nation and nationally ranked. So we were fortunate. So we had a lot of opportunities to have teams watch us. Guys come in. If we was on the road somewhere, they would go watch us there. I also played in what they call the BCI, which was like AEU now. So I was always like in Memphis, Arizona, Vegas. Even back then, it's not like now you have to send tapes or they have to come watch you in person. Now all they have to do is ask someone to send a video, or go to YouTube. You can see almost any player. We just didn't have that back then. But, I think basketball was tougher then than it is now. But at the same time, I wouldn't change the era at all because, I was able to accomplish stuff. But our high school was good, and we had Chris Jeffries went to the NBA from our high school. Deshaun Stevenson went to my high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of college D1 players and pro players that came out of my school.
Well, besides Fresno State, was there any other school that you were entertaining going into college, like the UCLA's, the big schools? I'm sure they all recruited you.
When you look back, it's, you think about the decisions you made. Should you have made a different decision? I went on recruit trips to Cal Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State wanted to talk to me. Kansas, Iowa State. There were just so many schools. New Mexico State, Hawaii. It was just so many schools that were sending letters and calling. And I think probably the most intriguing was BYU. It was during the playoffs one time, and I think they was playing the Lakers. And I get a call from Danny Ainge and trying to recruit me to BYU. He said the coaches wanted him to call me, and I was kind of puzzled, like, why would Danny Ainge call me? I didn't think I was that good. But, BYU wanted me probably more than anyone. But I decided on Fresno State because it was in my community. We had opportunities because there were always schools, kids going to pro from there. When I was thinking about going there was currently 5 Fresno State players in the pros. So, it was good. And when I went there, I had a good career. We had a couple losing seasons. Left the second all-time scorer when I left the school. So, I had a good career, and there are things I wish was different there. But at the same time, I never think about anything that should have happened because my life is pretty good and still communicate with all the guys, my coaches, everyone. So, I've got some lifelong friends out of Fresno State.
So Danny Ainge was already doing GM work when he was still playing for the Celtics.
Yeah.
No, he was a player. He was GM work recruiting players to his old college for sure.
Right. He was a star. He was a star. He was a two-sport star in BYU.
Yeah, he was a good athlete, man, and hard-nosed, and I respected him for that for sure.
Got to do a lot of fights during his career. Of course, Noel and Sid are Celtics fans. You mentioned Danny Ainge. They're already tickled pink. Noel and
green.
Yeah, we're getting the discussion. We talked about Washington, and we're now at Fresno already.
Yeah.
I think it's the perfect time that we should enter our photo gallery. It's called the Time Capsule. and because Sid prepared some photos from your career. So I think we
Okay.
should enter the time capsule now, guys. Are you ready for that time capsule?
Yes.
So the time capsule is brought to us by Champ's House of Chicken Tagaytay. You should try the house roast chicken, Jervis. If ever you come over to Manila soon, we're
Oh,
gonna give
yeah.
you some
Yeah,
house
hope
roast chicken
there
from Champ's House of Chicken Tagaytay. Really good stuff there. Check them out on their social media, IG, Facebook. They deliver to Metro Manila, Cavite, Laguna via Lala Move and Tok Tok. So Champ's House of Chicken. Let's enter the time capsule right now. There you go.
28, no.
Who's that young? Who's the young guy with a tie?
well, we finished 29 and 0.
Denzel, right?
Yeah, we were 29 and 0 after that was right before we won the championship, and I think I was one of the players of the year or something. That's when I had, hair and all of that good stuff. So God, you're blowing me away right now.
Can you tell us about John Pestorich, Jervis?
Yeah, Coach P was, very unique, and he was really good friends. And he was a student of the game. He went to school at UCLA. And when he started doing basketball, and when we went to Washington Union, we came in with a powerhouse team already. Because the same team pretty much from the junior high. We went to the same high school, and Pestrich was friends with Ron Adams, who was just named the Tex Winter Assistant Coach of the Year in the NBA. He's with Golden State Warriors, and so Ron was the defensive guy at Fresno State, and so he was helping Pestrich learn the matchup zone, which is something that he runs. He was the architect of. Then it became Amoeba when he taught it to Jerry Tarkanian. So John was teaching us, and we learned Fresno State, the #1 defense in the nation. We learned that in high school. So it was very difficult for teams to beat us when we was running a true college matchup, and we were only taught, college stuff. We were never really taught high school stuff. So when we went to play teams, just our knowledge of the game I think was more superior. Even if the team was bigger or faster, we just had knowledge that a lot of kids didn't have. And when I signed to go to Fresno State a year later, Pastors became the head defensive coach there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well, it
that's a
says
good
here,
deal for
part
you,
of the article, see it says it's 18.3 points and 9.3 rebounds. Those were your averages, at least during this season.
Mhm.
Well, the funny thing is, they never played me like halfway through the third and none of the fourth because we was always blowing people out. I probably would average 30 points.
Yeah.
Yes.
But still, you got noticed, right? You still got noticed in a team that's loaded with defense.
It's still the same with Fresno State. We would play slow down ball, and if they just let me play, I think I would have 100%, become the #1 scorer in the history and stuff like that. But my first couple years is kind of slow. The coaches are, not playing me as much as I wanted. And my senior year, junior year is when I really kind of found my wings.
Yeah, Jervis, the team photo on the right, your twin brother is number 21. Is that correct?
Yes, Jarvis.
Yeah. So at this stage of your lives, the height difference was still pretty noticeable, right?
Yeah, I just think once it was just weird that everyone on my team was pretty much taller than I was in the 8th grade. In 9th grade, I was past everybody. Yeah.
That's a crazy growth spurt in one summer.
Yeah,
that's something
that's
my
right.
son would love to happen.
Well, the funny thing was, I was just getting on the bus and I hit my head on the top of the bus when I never did it before. And I was like, what the hell's going on?
And yeah, you probably had to change your pants too because they were too high. They became short pants.
Everything was small. I didn't really realize it until the first day of school. And that's when the coaches brought me in the office and actually measured me. And because they saw me and I wasn't that tall when they first saw me in, in 8th grade.
Yeah, they must have thought you're an imposter.
Yeah, it was different.
Lots of stories that way. David Robinson had a similar story during his stay at Navy. He grew like
going into his
10
senior
inches,
year, man, he grew like 7 or 8 inches. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
He got him out of the Navy. He didn't have to do a tour in the Navy. He was too tall.
Yeah. I've got him exempted. Exempted from all of that.
Yeah, he got exempt.
Also, Dennis Rodman, I think, grew 11 inches in 1 year.
Yeah, Dennis grew a lot. It's very, it's almost normal in the U.S. I see kids one summer and then I see them again, and these guys are looking me eye to eye. So it happens pretty fast here.
Was there a period of adjustment for you when you grow 6 inches in one summer? Does your body adjust right away? Can you jump the same way? Can you handle the ball the same way, or
No,
is there an awkward stage?
I was a klutz. My feet was growing like crazy. I was so out of control, and I had no balance. So, when you grow really fast, they call it gangly, and lanky
Yeah.
here. And what ends up happening is, you got to grow into your body. And once your muscles and stuff start and your body start reacting to the size, then you're able to adjust a lot more. Yeah, my freshman year, I was trying to find myself the whole year, and I didn't come into myself until probably the beginning of my sophomore year.
But the skills that you were learning before your growth spurt, I imagine you were a guard, right? And then,
I didn't really play. I was in the 8th grade, and I was just playing pickup in the 7th, 8th, 6th grade. I was never playing on the team.
yeah, but on the court, yeah, pickup games, you were like in the backcourt,
Oh,
or
hell, they put me in the post because I couldn't dribble or shoot or nothing. I wasn't about to. I was big enough to get rebounds, and that was it. So they just put me there, and begged me to play. The guy, John Sato, my 8th grade coach, who actually has coached some amazing players in football and basketball and track. So he's one of the guys that got me to play because I wouldn't play, and he begged me to play, and he did the same with me. He did with a lot of players in this area, which are become very, very big name athletes. From Tim McDonald football, Icky Woods football. All these guys are guys that went through Sato, from athletes from junior high, elementary, and teaching you how to be an athlete, teaching you how to be a productive person in your community, teaching you how to become a man. I was fortunate to have a guy like Sato, and then you go to Washington Union and you end up having guys like Pestridge and Cedarquist and Coach Miller, and so you're always surrounded. I've been fortunate to be surrounded with some tremendous coaches and mentors in my life, and when it came down to me learning the game, they was patient enough to let me grow into what I was going to become, because I had no clue I was going to be a good basketball player.
Yeah, well, look at that. You had a great combination with the coach Pesteritz, because Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. It says you guys
Yeah,
repeat with. What
yeah.
do you get? What do you get when you're named Player of the Year, Jervis? Just a plaque or a trophy? What do you get?
I don't know. You get somebody to draw an ugly picture of you. That's what you get.
Yeah.
This comes out of like Ripley's Believe It or Not, That's
yeah,
what it looks like.
exactly.
I'm still very well known here, and from what we did in high school, what I did in college, and I talk to Coach P once in a while, and all of the other coaches. So I still see everyone and talk to everyone and communicate with as many people as I possibly can, and even still talk to Sato. And if there's something going on, I always reach out to him, let him know what's going on. And so for me, it's I think always giving back is what I wanted to do, and that's why I think I keep in contact with so many people out there in the Philippines. And I talk to a lot of fans in the Philippines all the time. So many people saying, "Give me a shout out." Well, I'm giving you a shout out. Hi. But it's tremendous that people remember what we did there, and I had a great career playing overseas, and and disappointing careers, and trying to make NBA teams, and so it's just unique, growing into what I became into who I am now.
Right. Let's move to the next photo and let's see. I think we're moving up stages now after the Panthers. Obviously, you went to Fresno State. There you are.
There.
Nice jump shot that you're taking. I think that's what school is that? Wichita State? Are you playing against? What
It
school?
could be Wichita, Long Beach, somebody. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then there you're dunking, of course. That's a familiar sight for Filipino
Right.
fans. But
No, I have,
so,
a, I
but
have a
your
question
career.
about.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Charlie, I
Go
have
ahead.
a question about this jump shot of yours. Did you develop this on your own, or did you pattern it after somebody? Because it looks like a familiar jump shot to me.
Well, the funny thing was, it's when you have really good coaches, they all teach kind of the same form. And I used to always just, I was never really a jump shooter. I was more mid-range, in the post in high school. Then when I got to Fresno State, of course they had great coaches, and they homed in more on my shot for me, and tell you to keep the elbow in and elbows to the rim and release, flick the wrist. So all of that stuff just became natural. And I think because I did it so much, with Pestridge and at Washington Union, that the muscle memory became, to this day, I can still just stroke the shots. And it's just something that you develop. And, I have a son right now that's 21 in college, and we got totally opposite shots, and it frustrates me trying to get him to shoot proper. Then you get to a point where it's going in, screw it, just shoot to where you're normal.
Right.
And
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it's
as long as
familiar.
it
It looks
goes
like an
in.
Andrew Toney jump shot to me.
Man, I wish I shot like Andrew Toney. I probably
No, I
You'd
was
probably
thinking.
still be playing.
Yeah, I was thinking Bernard King.
And that's true. That's also
They
true.
one of
Hey.
them guys, man. I'd have made the league if I was more consistent.
You'll take that. So, in this article, Cole turning into a gem for the Bulldogs. I think this is your sophomore or junior year, because Coach Adams that's being quoted there. But the improvement that you had stats wise when you were a freshman, 4.5 points a game, 2.9 rebounds. I guess you didn't play that much when you were a freshman, and then it just
Well, the funny thing, I became a starter, and my
Okay.
coach was a hard nose, and he was one of those guys you listen to the coaches, you listen to assistant coaches, and you listen to the seniors. And I was one of those guys like, I'm not listening to a senior, he's just a player. I didn't care. So coach got mad at me, I think midway through the season, because I wouldn't listen to a couple seniors. And I made a smart ass comment and said that, you know what, I'm not listening to him, he doesn't even play. So the coach started starting that guy in front of me. So I sat the rest of the season, and Mike Mitchell became the freshman of the year, and he was on my team, and I was on the first team all league. So I did well, but I could have did 10 times better. But those are decisions and things that coaches make that kind of change careers to me.
Yeah, but they always encourage players to always try to get better. If you look at your 4 seasons at Fresno State, you went from 4 points a game to 12 to 16 to 18. Even your rebound numbers went up. So, is this a result of more playing time, more confidence from the coach, or is this something you really worked on? You worked on your jump shot during the off season, things like that.
Yeah, just like what I did in high school, when I was by myself, I would always go shoot. I would always go run. I would always go run hills. I was always doing something, try to better the craft of basketball. And I think that's the most frustrating thing right now is you have so many kids that have the same opportunities. Even better, because if you want to learn how to shoot a free throw or a jump shot or play defense, you just pull it up on YouTube, right? Or kids these days, especially in the U.S., a lot of kids just don't. And they just look at the mixtapes, and they look at the best players, that got the best highlights, but they don't really home in on the best game, what makes you better. And so, we have a gym now. I opened my own gym, with my partner Phil, and our gym is a training center for kids who really want to learn, and if you really want to learn basketball, you come to Impact Athletics, and we have some great trainers there that really does, help you. And I think it's very important because, in my communities, we're the second poorest community in the whole United States of West Fresno, where I grew up. And so I want to give the kids opportunities, not just those kids, but any kid who want to get better. That's what our gym is about.
That's great. It's great work.
Yeah. Do you do coaching of your own, or do you just own the gym and you got a bunch of coaches?
I went to my old neighborhood and coached at Edison High School, which is a very historic school here. The career didn't go the way I wanted, but I still work with a lot of the kids. I hired some this summer to work with us at our camps. So I train kids. So I still give back as much as possible. So the stuff that I do is always now geared towards our youth in our community. And that, I just think if you don't build our youth, you're building a dead future. And the weird thing was, before Bobby Parks died, Bobby and I reached out to Bobby on Facebook, and we were going to try to plan to do a camp together in the Philippines. And then I think he got sick like a few months later and ended up passing away. But yeah, we had started having those discussions about, me coming there and doing something together.
Have those discussions stalled? I mean, you can still do that, right? With or without Bobby.
Yeah, I can still do it, but I need people with boots on the ground there and other stuff. And I'm talking to people right now over in Holland about doing some stuff, and would love to go and do some stuff with Ruben Magnano that won the Olympics from Argentina. He was my coach for 3 years. So I would love to do stuff around the world and just, the stuff that I've learned. I've been fortunate, to have coaches that have taught me a lot, and I still stay in contact with them. So only coach I've reached out to and haven't talked to was Jaworski. I talked to his son once and a couple of people that know him, but, he's a busy guy. And, I'm just Jervis. I ain't nobody.
No, it's not true. No, with regards to your camps and how you help the youth right now, what's the best advice that you give the youngsters who are trying to follow in your footsteps at least, or get to the pros?
Well, I tell every kid the same thing. Like, look, you're only going to be as good as you work and your work ethic. Early on, you do know if you have ability, right? Some kids are fooling themselves, or their parents are, where a kid may make a high school team, but he'll never play after high school. But then you see the kids, because I'm also a evaluator of talent, is you look at the kid and see what these kids can possibly do, how they could contribute, and can they play in college? I think if any kid go to college, you have an opportunity to play somewhere around the world if you're one of the 5, 6 guys on that team. And I tell them all, you got to work hard, man, and practice is not the place to become a better basketball player. It's the workouts, and if you're not willing to work out, like I literally had kids that will not work out the entire summer, right, and just show up at tryouts and think they're going to be better than they was last year because they're a little older, and it just doesn't happen. So I tell kids the same thing, and if it's you got to have confidence. It's the number one thing, and if you don't have confidence, it doesn't matter what you do. So what I always try to do is build a kid's confidence and make sure they're working out. Try to make sure they're eating right if they have the capability to do that, and also work on their cardio. And if a kid is coachable, they can become anything if they have the balance.
Well, my question to you about your tryouts, or at least the you wanted to get into the NBA. I mean, what would you have done different if you go back in time? What would you have done different to maybe change that?
Well, the one thing I would have did different, I would have went back to camp with Orlando, the veterans camp. I was the last cut in Orlando Magic. They ended up keeping Chris Corchiani from NC State, and he was from Florida originally. And the following season, I went back, was invited back to free agent camp, went to free agent camp, told me flat out, yeah, we want you in vet camp. You're playing your butt off. And between the vet camp and when I decided to go overseas, that was the same year Shaq was coming in. And I lost a lot of money the year before because, I went all the way to the last cut, right? And if you go all through that, there's most of the teams around the world are already full. So you really, you're going to end up just playing, for minimal money and stuff, even though you're one of the top players, right? So what ended up happening was I started asking team, could you guys give me more or some type of guarantee? They couldn't because they had to restructure everybody's contract anyway for Shaquille O'Neal, right? He was going to be a rookie. And they ended up signing Donald Royal, right? We played pretty much the same position. And I was just thinking to myself, like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to make this team because they just brought in another guy, with Nick Anderson, Donald Royal, those guys. I was like, there's no way I'm making the team. So I decided to go overseas. And when I look back at it now, they kept, extra guard, which I knew they wouldn't want it to. That probably was a spot they had for me. So I probably would have went overseas as fast as I did. But no matter what, I never second guess myself. I just keep pushing, man, and just keep doing my thing.
Okay.
It wasn't about my ability because I was absolutely killing, and I think off the bench, I was the leading scorer the year I got cut and they kept Chris. Was, they needed, it was a new franchise. They needed, to keep the fans happy. So to me, they kept Chris for that reason. I think he only played one season in the NBA.
Yeah.
This is your Fresno State.
And it's a tough world. It's a numbers game.
Uh-huh. That's right. That's right. What's that, Sid, you were saying?
No. I'm saying it's just your Fresno State team photo. What year was this? Jervis, if you remember.
Mm-hmm. It's like, for one, I can't see. I ain't got my glasses on, so let me.
That's okay.
Um, God, it have to be. I'm trying to see who's all on the team.
That's junior or so, or
I
senior,
think my
probably, right?
junior or senior year. I think it
Right.
might have been my junior year. Junior or senior, one of the two, because I know I see Will Hooker and all the guard. He got. I think that was my senior year.
Okay.
The kid that's sitting in the chair all the way to the left, my left, is was kicked off the team, and that was the first year he played with me. And so that was my senior year. And Ron
So
Adams is,
you're talking about the first guy sitting down on the left.
yeah, Andre Sims, and
Okay. I
he
thought
was.
that's the lead. I thought that's the lead singer of Shalimar. You know, Howard Hewitt or something. But looks like him, right?
Come on, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this
Sure
show
looks
is
like it.
is officially dated now. After
Yeah.
that.
You know, the funny thing is when I look back at this team, and we had a lot of players, and at Fresno State we ended up having different players come in almost every year. We was, getting rid of guys, bringing the new guys. So I never played with the same guys. There was really no consistency early on. I think that was Ron Adams' first like real head coaching job. He was always an assistant coach, so he was learning. I was learning. The players are learning. So it was, it was a different time, and I could have left Fresno State um, at any moment, and I just decided to stay. Mike Mitchell, him and I were the two top scorers. He ended up leaving and going followed the original coach that recruited me. So Fresno State was frustrating at times, but still wouldn't change anything. Looking at the picture, I would have never thought Coach Adams would have won 4 championships. With Golden State. Um, Definitely wouldn't have thought he was going to be a assistant coach of the year a number of times and defensive guru, all of the stuff that comes with them. But Ron and I talk a lot, and he's like family to me, and so I'm fortunate. Like God, high school, junior high, pro, you got great coaches around you, and
Yeah.
and you don't get that much in life. You know what I mean? You don't have head coaches everywhere you go that knows what they're doing. And then the guy in Argentina, Ruben, won the Olympics against the United States.
Uh-huh.
And so we've had some great coaches, man. I got Hall of Fame coaches. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever make it to March Madness during your 4 years there?
Shit, we didn't even make it to the freaking mall.
I sense some frustration in that tone, Jervis.
I'd have been happy to go to Shoemart.
But during this time in your senior year, did you get any feelers from any NBA teams already saying?
Yeah, I was getting calls and that was part of I think the issues of having new coaches and new coaching staff. They really didn't know how to navigate the responses they were getting, right? Like I didn't even know to the end of my senior year that I had, the Sixers and other people sending in letters and making contact. And so I never went to a senior camp. I never went anywhere. And I know I should have went to a senior camp. I second in voting in the league player of the year. That year, I was second. Cedric Sabalas won it that year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He won the league player of the year. I won. I was 2. Stacey Augman was 3. We had some tremendous players in our league, and we just didn't have the knowledge to get me to where I needed to be, like the Chicago, free agent camp or seniors games or anything. It was just sad, man. And when I first got my shot in the CBA, it was, me calling down to the San Jose Jammers and saying I want to come into camp. And they were like, "Who are you?" And I'm telling them, and they're like, "Aren't you in a camp somewhere? Like, aren't you in an NBA camp?" I'm like, "No, I ain't going anywhere." So, I went they needed, I think, 2 positions to go to their vet camp. and I went to a free agent tryout type camp. I get there, it's like almost 150 people, and they only needed 2 players. So once I got there, I went in and they put me on a pretty decent team, and I just went in and just wrecked shop, man, and I killed, and they brought me into vet camp, and I was one of the leading guys for 6-man of the year my first year. And I just get the weirdest stuff happens, and some kid that wasn't even playing, that was from our city, the fans voted him to the All-Star game, and the guy wasn't even on the team. So the team asked me to, to sit out, during the All-Star break, which I should have been at the All-Star game, and to bring this guy back, it was just weird. It was just everything I did was kind of odd, right? It's like a book, and I ended up going to. I got so pissed off, I went and played with Tulsa, Oklahoma team instead of coming back there just to play this team, right? And I wanted to come back and kick San Jose in the ass for getting rid of me. So Henry Bibby, the dad, senior, asked me to come play in Oklahoma. So I went there for 2 weeks, and we were on the West Coast swing. So I just wanted to play all the Kings on the West Coast and never went back to Oklahoma. Then went back to San Jose.
Really? Well, how's that? I mean, how were your contracts during that time in the CBA? Were they like a month long? Was it a season long? Because you left them in the middle. Can you do that? How'd you do that?
Well, I asked to be released.
Okay.
And I told Henry I didn't want to go to Oklahoma, and he was a really cool dude. And he said, "Man, we'd love to have you here." The first game I played with them was against San Jose, my old team, and in San Jose, and the fans were kind of like, "What is going on?" And I just absolutely just tried to kill the whole team and play phenomenal. And so Henry definitely wanted me to come back to, Oklahoma. We had 2 games in San Jose and 2 in Santa Barbara. But I just didn't want to go to Oklahoma. It was winter, it was cold. I had no jacket. So I was like, I'm going to stay in California.
I was just checking it out. If you had been able to enter the NBA draft, it would have been 1989, right? So that's the Purvis Ellison number 1. Draft
what's funny was like when I say everything happens and it's just like so weird and the timing is always off. Was the year I came out was the first year they started the 2 rounds.
Yes.
They were doing like freaking 100 rounds the year before, right?
Yeah.
I knew if I'd have got drafted, I don't care if it was the 6th round, I most likely would have got drafted in the 3rd, but we didn't even have the 3rd anymore. And I would, I knew I probably would have got drafted, but it just, everything happens for a reason, man. And I was just irritated because of that, irritated I didn't go to camp. So I went to San Jose, and that's where I really started homing in on my game. Then after the season, we had a really good team with San Jose. Chip England, who's the assistant coach, went to Duke. Now he's assistant coach at San Antonio.
He played here.
He played here.
Chip England played here for the national team.
Yeah, then we have Richard Morton, Mark Tillman, who played over there. God, we had tons of guys on this team. Leonard Taylor, and so when the season was over, I get a call from Chip to come play with them in Calgary. So I went up to Calgary, Canada, and played with the Calgary 88s with Chip and those guys. We won a championship up there. So, I just had tremendous opportunities. San Jose, we played. We were always one of the top teams in San Jose, and we ended up. I played against Vincent Askew, Mario Ellie, John Starks, Anthony Mason. All these guys are in the CBA with me.
That's right.
Yeah, they're part of the CBA with me, and so you had a chance to play against some of the top players, all-stars, and guys that won NBA championships. In Argentina, I played with Manu. I played with Fabrizio Berto, who was a San Antonio, and played with Fabrizio for 3 seasons, and Manu for 1, and so I knew all the Nocioni brothers. So I'm very fortunate, honestly, to see the world. when people ask me what's the best place, I always tell them Argentina and the Philippines. That's where I have my fun, man. And Philippines was really unexpected. I had no clue the fans were fanatics. I had no clue that that was the sport there. And when I got there, it was just so crazy, when the agent that called me, I think he passed away now, Sam Munera.
Sam Monera, yeah.
Yeah. So Sam was the one who called me out of San Francisco, and we were talking, and he was telling me about, Ginebra.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm good. They called me for a couple of years, and I just wouldn't go. But then finally I decided, I need to stay in shape. It was during the summer period. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go. And I think it was at the end, midway through the season. And I think we had to win like 3 games or something to stay up in the top division.
Uh-huh.
I had to win 3 out of the last 3. And they picked me up at the airport, and they kept talking about Bobby Parks. And they said, you know Bobby? No, I don't know Bobby. They said, well, he's really good. I'm like, okay. They said, well, he's this, he's that. And I'm just like, okay. And and that's all I heard the whole time was Shell and Bobby Parks. And we need to win these 3 games. I think it was Pepsi with Richard Hollis and those guys. Already. And I'm trying to remember, was Rick Wilson on one of those teams, but I can't remember. So we ended up
San Miguel, I think it was at San Miguel.
Yeah, and they kept asking me these questions. And Rick Wilson is doing amazing right now, if you guys don't know. Yeah, he's the head of NBA Nike. He's with Nike, so he head of player relations with Nike. So he oversees the Kobe's, the big brand. That's what we oversee.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
he's doing.
speaking of Nike, you mentioned Nike, and you
Speaking of Nike,
photo, this is the Air, the jump man brand.
Yeah.
How do you end up hanging out with Michael?
Well, in Fresno, they always do a game. They used to do a game with Rod Higgins, who went to Fresno State, and him and Mike became really good friends. So 2 other Fresno State guys, Tyrone Bradley, Bobby Anderson, they all decided, let's do a game. And so they started doing a summer camp in a game with Michael. And Michael came for like 7, 8 years. And I couldn't play the first 2 or 3, because I was still in college. And then I started playing, and I think I played in 3 or 4 of them. Became friends with a lot of the guys, and familiar with Mike, and so we ended up all hang out sometime and go out and just have fun. So it was a good experience for a young guy, but Mike was unbelievable at a different level, man. It was just unbelievable. Hands down the best I've ever seen play.
And at least you got this photo with him, got to hang out with the man himself.
Yeah, I have multiple photos with Mike, and I'm friends with a guy that just was in Philippines with Jalen Green, and know his family, and he's from Fresno also, and so it's my life is crazy, man, and just the stuff that I do and the community and working with kids and playing in the Philippines, and those questions about Bobby just was so crazy to me, because he was like God, right?
And he was.
And the one thing I said was, they said, I'm like, man, Bobby got to guard me too, whoever he is. And they were like, well, he's pretty good. I'm like, well, I'm pretty good, right? And we ended up playing for the championship, and that was ironic. He was a good player, man. Oh my God.
Jervis, I'll cut you right there because we have some Ginebra photos, but let's finish this set first. So that's Jervis with Michael Jordan. So that's the first half of our time capsule. That was brought to us by Champ's House of Chicken. Now, before we go on to the second half of the photos, which are the Ginebra stuff, we're gonna remind everyone we're part of the Globally Ballin Network, and there are other shows on the network as well. Please check them out. One of the shows is Next Man Up with Diego Dario and Jello Vito. That's the old episode. Alan Durham, I think they've had a couple of episodes after that. Check that out. Okay, and then what's next? We're on Spotify. If you enjoy our show, send us some love. Rate us on Spotify. Just 5-star ratings, please. Come on. And then become an AEOB podcast monthly supporter. You can support us for $4.99 or 250 pesos a month on Spotify. And of course, we'll acknowledge you on the show. Go to Globally Ballin Southeast Asia on Facebook and follow that as well for tidbits of all the different shows on the network. And my two companions today, Noel and Sid, are in their Rad Chameleon apparel. So check out their shirts. Okay, thank you. Stand out, Rad Chameleon apparel. Okay, let's enter the second part of the time capsule. This is brought to us by Ni Hao Bread Bakery Tagaytay. Check out their products. And they're on IG, they're on Facebook as well. Delivery by Lala Move in Tok Tok in Metro Manila, Cavite, and Laguna. Ni Hao Bread Bakery Tagaytay. All right, so let's enter the Ginebra stage of your life, Mr. Cole. You know, you were not the first choice of Ginebra. There were two guys who came in before you, and it didn't work out. One guy played one game. That's William Alexander. Before him, Ron Davis played 3 games. So you came in on the 5th game of the conference. You guys had some catching up to do, and then you did it, you know, with you in town.
Well, yeah, it was like I didn't even know the team situation. I just told them I'll come over, and they were asking me, you know, I was kind of cocky and arrogant back then, and they were asking me all these questions on the phone, and they said, you know, we need to, you know, win a few games to stay up. I'm like, okay. They said, what do you want? I told them what I wanted. They said, what if we win the championship? I'm like, that's all I want. Just give me that, and I'm fine. Pay me at the end of the year. And they say, you don't want to get paid monthly or weekly? I'm like, no, pay me at the end of the year. And they said, what do you think we're going to do? I'm like, we're going to win the championship. That was before I even got off the plane. And they kept asking, cause, you know, I was playing basketball really good at the time, and I knew my abilities, and if you had players on the team like they did, like Rudy and Don and Chito and all of those guys that was playing with us, you know, you had a good team. And I just think every team is misses a part. And teams that I was on that wasn't playing well, we had one more part I thought they would play well. So they told me they had good players. I'm like, okay, let's go win this championship. And that was my mentality. I had no clue he was going to win. That's just me talking shit. And yeah, and what ended up happening was we ended up winning, but you know, winning those first 3 games, I think gave our players, the fans, and ourselves, definitely me, the chance to think that we can probably, you know, at least play really well for the playoffs, you know, and I just think those first 3 games really gave us a sense of belief, and then we started winning all the way up to second place, right, and the rest was history.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first impression when you landed in the Philippines? Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
it's the same question. Sorry. What
No,
was
no,
your first
my
impression when
question
you
was about-
got to the Philippines?
Yeah.
When I first landed in the Philippines, it was hot.
You came during summer. Yeah, you came during our summer years, summer months.
Wow, right? It was hot, and it was so big and so many people, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And that night, I went to the first practice, and the practice facility was full, and I was like, what? And somebody was saying something. I just never forget. Someone said, "Don't be an export," and I had no clue what that meant, and didn't know if I was good or bad or anything. So you know, I just went in and did my thing, man. And my first impression was I was starving. That was my first thing. And we went and got food, and once I started getting really accustomed to my surroundings, I was living in Green Hills, and once I started seeing the country more, hanging out more, I had a really good Sean Chambers and I were teammates in Canada, so I knew Sean before I got there. So you know that made it a little bit easier. Because I really didn't know anyone besides Sean. I actually supposed to play with Alaska. Sean wanted me to come play with Alaska, and then he ended up bringing someone else. But you know, my experiences in the Philippines, I wouldn't change forever. It was great. You know, I still miss Seafood Market. You know, over at Green Hill. I don't know if that's still there, but I ate lunch there every day.
Yeah, but that's gone. That's gone. But yeah, but there are other places that are like Seafood Market. But you know, but Sid, I think you're gonna ask. What was your impression of this guy, right?
That was my question. When you first met Sonny Jaworski as a playing
Sonny
coach.
Bobby Jaworski, when I got to practice and I met him, and I didn't know he was a player. Then he started getting into plays and stuff, so I just thought he was running through plays, and then I started realizing, damn, is he a player coach? And he was. But he was good. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, he didn't know his stuff, and he was very knowledgeable. He was a good player. Especially the championship game, he had some big shots, and I was amazed he was playing. I think he was 40-something playing with us, and
45,
I
think.
I was just amazed the guy was playing and playing at a high level.
Yeah, he was a legend already here by that time.
Yeah.
So they did tell you that beforehand, what kind of a coach you were going to have, and how much of a legend he was. And okay,
everything besides we need to win some games and stay up. That was the only thing I got, And when I got there, I think every day, everything I did was a learning experience. But because I'm so open to learning new things and I embrace learning stuff, that it wasn't a big issue. And I love basketball so much. It wasn't about, where I was at. It was, am I going to be playing? And just to be fortunate to be playing, I was happy with that. And the first game we had was so amazing, right? With so many fans, that was Ginebra fans. It was like, wow, I can play here. You know what I mean? That was my mentality.
yeah.
I'm gonna put on a show like this, okay? Because when I went in, I had no clue how big the arena would be. I had no clue about anything.
If there's one thing that you take, if there's one thing that you take with you that you learned from Sonny Jaworski, what is it?
The one thing I learned from him is like, he used to always say, "Never die," right? Never say die. That slogan with the team, and I never had a coach that told me, because I was always a team player, right? So I was always pass the ball, if move the ball, get the ball back, don't force anything. And he's, it was a timeout. I think it was the first game. He said, "No, man, I need you scoring." I'm like, "What?" He said, "If you get double, pass the ball, but yeah, go score." So I was like, "All right, you got to tell me that twice." And I just
why not?
And after that, I just, just did what I do, and I didn't know I will average 40-something points a game. I don't even remember what it was. What was it?
Yeah, 45.7. Your first conference
Yeah,
here.
it was insane. That's an insane average to do every game, right?
Yep.
And it was funny just because they wanted you to score. They wanted you to do your thing. You know what I mean? And once it got going, it was like no way you can, nobody was going to stop it. And I had teammates that was also able to hit big shots, and we never had any problems on the team. I didn't care who shot the ball. I didn't care unless you wasn't forcing it. And so it was always good. And, and the game 7 was, I'm getting doubled and tripled like every possession, because I think I had, 40, 50 points a game before. And so I'm getting doubled and tripled every time I touch the ball. And so, our other guys stepped up big, man. And it's that just, it comes from coaching, and coaching giving guys the opportunity and the confidence to play well. And I just think it was a tremendous team at that time, to where, if it was someone was going to do it, that was the team to do it if you're going to come back down from 1-3.
Yep. Yeah, never say die.
And you got a cover on Sports Weekly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like that. One of the fans, I know I still have it upstairs, but one of the fans made me a couple did, a couple of binders, photo books, and I still have them. I was actually in my attic before the show and looking for my jersey, because I still have the jersey.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Wow.
A couple people asked me about them. A couple people asked me about it.
That's going to be worth something.
I'll probably sell it if somebody gave me some good money, right?
Why not? Why not? But this is the image that people remember. This is the image of Jervis Cole.
I have, man.
Yeah, you dunking that way. That's the image, because you would dunk often during the games. The number 32. Why choose 32? Is that a Magic Johnson thing?
No. They asked me what number I want. I told them I didn't care. It's like,
Okay.
I,
So they
I
assigned
never,
that.
like, I was never ever superstitious with numbers. You know, it was just like, just give me a jersey and I'm gonna go play. Like, I think at Fresno State I had 24. Washington Union I had a different number. I had one number in Orlando. I came back and they were saying someone else wanted that number. I'm like, yeah, let them have it. You know, it was never about a number to me. It was always, I just was always blessed to be where I was from where I came from, you know, and you know, we grew up poor, man, and we didn't have anything. And playing basketball around the world is a blessing if you don't have anything. And so numbers and that stuff that people find important to me was nothing. But, you know, 32 is available. Yeah, give me 32.
Okay. Yeah.
My
I guess the
son,
more important numbers are the numbers you put on the board, right?
yeah, it was just, you know, let's just go play and just some of the games that we had. I wish I had more old videos because I would love to show people and my son and just some of the stuff I think we were able to accomplish there was big. You know, unfortunately, the second year, you know, nobody knew. I got hurt the first day of practice when I got there. Really bad hamstring pull. I sat out a few days, went to therapy literally once, twice a day. I played most of the first half with a sleeve on my around my waist and on my hamstring, and it really hampered me. But I never ever told anyone. I never wanted anyone to know I was even hurt. But I was a shell of what I was, you know, a few months earlier, and it was
Right.
when I could have had a chance to come back, but we were doing so well. I was doing well in other places, you know, and I was getting paid a lot, you know, and Argentina basketball was so big also, you know, it was the second sport behind soccer. And, you know, I was on a great team, you know, I was on a really, really good team and attendance and our league was long, 8, 9 months, man. It was long leagues. And so, you know, we just got to a point when season was over, I was just like, don't want to do anything but, you know, recoup.
Yeah, Jervis, can we go back to your first stint here? What was your first impression on the style of play? And was there any player from an opposing team who kind of welcomed you to the league with a, you know, with a hit or something? Because Filipino players are known for that.
Well, the funny thing was, God, what's the kid from Shell?
There's a
The
bunch
guy,
of them. But
the guard. It was a couple of players on Shell that was, you know, we went at it, you
Jay,
know, pretty tough for a few times,
maybe
and
Jay.
yeah, one of them guys, and man, those guys is always getting on my freaking nerves, and you know, they do dirty stuff during the game. They, you know, pinch you, grab you, elbow you. But you know, I took as well as I gave. You know, I gave a lot of like, you know, pretty tough hits and you know, because I'm a dude, honestly I grew up fighting, so playing physical was not a surprise
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and and so when I played, sometimes you can tell when I played and I was going to the hole, I went like, you know, like a bat out of hell just because I knew if I got hit, they wouldn't be able to stop me. I still would be able to finish the play. And that was some of the stuff you know, I just got to turn it up and not worry about getting hit and not getting a call, just go play.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's on the screen.
Back to your
Okay,
team in
go ahead.
Ginebra. Sorry, Charlie. Back to your team in Ginebra. Who did you gravitate to? Who was your closest friend in the Ginebra team?
Well, God, I went out a few times with JV.
Gayoso.
Gayoso.
Okay.
Um,
I think I know where you went to.
Yeah, Don and Rudy and I became pretty tight. So I became Cheeto. So we became tight as a unit. Then also the guy that hung out probably the most, he was a guy that didn't play much at all. Toby. I think it's
Poblador.
Pablo.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
Toby and I started hanging out a lot and you know, he his wife was cute and she had a lot of girlfriends, they were models and stuff, right? So I ended up I started hanging out with him a lot with all of the models and so you know it became really cool and
You know how to choose your friends, huh?
yeah, man. God, what was her Marina? Remember the girl Marina? I think she became an actress, a TV show or something. So I started hanging out with her and some of her friends, and it was just I ended up in I think the 2.5 months or something I was there because it was short, and uh, it was crazy, man. It was just like this whirlwind that I just walked into, and I became so famous so fast that I couldn't even leave my apartment, in my condo, and I couldn't go places. And I just remember when Mark Tillman came in, because we were teammates, and we saw each other literally a few months before I left, and he called me and like, yo, I want to go out. Let's go to shopping or something. Let's go out. I said, I can't go anywhere. And it was going into Game 7, and it was like pandemonium everywhere. So people was already going crazy. And I'm telling Mark I can't go anywhere. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I can't go anywhere. If I go into a store, I'm gonna get mobbed. He thought I was joking. So I said, all right, let's go somewhere. So I called my driver. My driver's like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're going to Shoe Mart, right? We can't go to Shoe Mart. I'm like, yeah, let's go to Shoe Mart. So my driver was like calling the team, like, Jervis want to go somewhere. There's no way, we don't have enough security. And so we get in the car, and I told the driver, do not leave when we get out, right? So we literally got out the car. We go up the stairs. We go into the shopping center. I got mobbed at the first door, so they had to rush us through the back and right back into the car. It probably was in the mall 5 minutes. And Mark was like, what is going on? I'm like, I have nothing. He's really famous.
You're a big thing over here.
Yeah,
that happens, especially because you're playing for Ginebra.
Yeah, he came to the game with me, and we won the championship, and it was just insane that night. And I didn't feel secure enough to even go to our parade. That's why I didn't go to the parade and all that stuff, because I just didn't feel I was secure, because leaving the arena, there were so many people, and people jumping on our car, banging on the car. I was freaking out, man. I was just like, oh my God, I don't know if these are fans of Shell. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about that series though. Down 1-3 and winning it all. What was the mentality heading into the finals? And then when you finally got down 1-3, what changed? How did you win the championship?
God, when we went down, man, and I was pissed off too. I was irritated, and I think it was the start of Game 5, and they started handing out prematurely the trophies, like Player of the Year and championship trophies, like before the game. And I'm sitting there, and I've never experienced that. And then they gave Bobby, Bobby deserved it because I missed 5 games. But they gave Bobby like the top American award or something, right?
Best import award.
Yeah, I'm pissed off. Like, why I killed that guy? And so I told the team, pass me the ball. And if I get double and I pass you the ball, don't give it back. You know what I mean? And just we're not losing this series. And Coach Jaworski, was in the same frame of mind as this is go. We got nothing to lose. And we won the Game 5, which I was happy. And then we won Game 6. We tied up the series, and it was all about Game 7. And I don't think I've ever seen a fan base that was so behind their team no matter what, and that never say die attitude. It's for real. It's these fans never gave up. No matter where you go, they're there. You lose, like I just remember one time I was in a training room at a therapy place that second season, and we had lost. And I walk in, and all I hear is this: somebody's crying, screaming, crying. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And the guy, my therapist, is like, they're going to do a massage and I think ultrasound and stuff on my hamstring. And he's like, oh, you guys lost last night. So this kid that, we do therapy is crying. It's like, and the fans are like, you wish you had fans like that in every arena you walk in, and that's for you or against you. It doesn't matter, just as long as they have that true sense of worth with their team. Like, this is their team, and it reminds me of a lot of the Argentinian soccer teams, fans, the European soccer fans. They're insane for their teams, and that's what it never has. And you know, when we were down in Game 7, I remember that, and I was just like, you know, cursing in my head. And I'm like, we're not losing this game. There's no way you're losing this game. And you know, when we got back into the game in the second half and took the lead, and they took it back, and then we took it back again, and I knew we wasn't going to lose the game. You know, I knew that we was going to win the game. You know, but I knew, you know, I was nervous. I knew the teammates was nervous. It takes a lot to get me nervous, but that situation was so intense and so electric in that building that you just didn't want to lose, and you don't want to lose for your teammates. You don't want to lose for the fans. And I really wanted our team to, you know, experience with me what I was going through. And I was happy as hell when I blocked a shot. I was running across the court, hands up, like I was so happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that shot, what made you help on Magsanok? Why did you leave Bobby Parks? What was it, just instinctual?
We lost the game to them on that freaking play. Early in the season, we lost a game with him hitting that freaking shot, and for some reason, the player that was guarding him like left him for some reason. And I was looking, and you know, I had my guy in the post, and I saw him in the corner, but I didn't want to give it up too soon. That I was going to sprint out there, and when that guy skipped the ball to him, you know, I just took off as soon as the ball was in the air, and as soon as he caught it, I knew it wasn't enough time to put it on the ground. I just jumped, and you know, one of the most difficult shots to block is a 3-point shot. You know, but if you can get up fast enough, you can get it. Before it really leaves his hand too far. And that's, you know, kind of what happened. And that's the funny thing is the stuff that I was taught through Pestridge and Ron Adams, of course, is, you know, you leave when the ball's in the air and you run like a bat out of hell. That's, you know, it all just accumulated to that one play, man. And I remember them beating us, and I was so pissed that guy hit a shot and win the game. And I'm like, that's not happening. And they ran the same play, and I knew the play already. When it went to him, I'm like, there's no way he's getting this. If he make it, he's going to have to shoot it over my 12 feet hand because I was up about 12 feet.
And you know how good Ronnie Magsanok was, and he would have probably made that shot if you didn't run out to get it.
Yeah, because he, you know, he's a very confident player, man. And if you beat a team on that kind of shot, you got a, you know, more than 50% chance of winning again, because you're already confident. You already did it. It's not, you know, and I knew they drew up the same place, and I was just like, oh yeah, I already knew the set. And soon as they were, but I didn't understand why our guy left him. And soon as they dribbled a little away from him, our guy just went up and left him wide open. So I just went up and jumped and blocked the shot, and you know, made sure I was jumping to the side of him, and I wasn't going to jump. He fell down for some reason, trying to get a foul. You know, it wasn't even close to touching him, and it was just crazy, you know.
That was a clean block.
Nobody on them.
But do you remember the reaction of the crowd when Rudy's shot went in?
I remember my reaction because when he took off, like the play, it wasn't a broken play. He just went to the hole, and I was just like, "What?" Like I thought he was going to go because we wanted to run some more time off the clock. But that was Rudy. You know, he was a hard nosed man, and Rudy didn't. You know, if he saw something and he was going to take it, he took it. And when he made it, I was more nervous. I heard the fans. I knew how much time was on the clock, but we were acting like the game was over. You know what I mean? Guys are hugging each other, and I was just like, oh no, man, this thing is not over. And sure enough, they had a wide open shot, and you know, the premature celebration was the only thing that had me nervous because I experienced that a couple of times in my career, where we cheer and get too focused before we really win the game. But, you know, it was a great shot. It's a ballsy shot, you know, to try to win a game, especially a game of that magnitude. You got to have, you know, some balls. And he had it, man, and hat off to him. It was a tremendous shot, tremendous make.
And then his shot, if I remember right, it bounced a couple of times before it went in, right?
When he went to the hole, I was like, holy shit. So I just ran behind him, And a few minutes I was like, I'm trying to get this rebound, and that was just, I was Rudy. You know what I mean? It was just he always takes shots, and he was never scared, man. And then he'll whoop your ass after you got on his nerves, and he was. He was just that guy, man, and he deserved it, man. He deserved to hit the game winner, and it all came together when it's supposed to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's important though that you have to discuss the matchup with Bobby Parks. I mean, because even when you were flying in, they were already hyping this guy up as the best, like a god, you said earlier. But then you matched up with him very well, and eventually won the championship, even if they were up 3-1. He wasn't able to bring them to the promised land. So how was that matchup with him? Were you guys trash talking? Because I know Bobby doesn't talk much during the games.
We didn't, but it was so respectful in terms of, like, he had a really good basketball game, right? Ability. And we both recognized that we both could play. And we both knew in order for our team to be successful that ultimately we have to be the guys, right? And there was some plays. He made some tremendous plays, and I always said he had sneaky hops, right? That he's a sneaky jumper, right? When you don't think he's gonna explode and dunk, he's doing it. And he had a really good pull up mid range, and he's just a good, solid basketball player, man. And you gotta respect that. And he never went out on the court and talked trash and try to get in your head. It was just like, I'm just gonna beat your butt face to face and let my game do all the talking, and I respected that. And they had some good players, man. At guard, God, what was his name? Benji? Is it Benji, right?
Benji, yeah.
Benji's the guard, the center. Benji was the center. Ronnie was the guard.
He can play, man.
There's Benji.
Yeah, he's Benji on that picture right there, right? Is that Benji?
Yeah,
on the right.
Number 14.
And the guy can jump, right? Strong, can jump. I just think last game, he didn't play as hard as he could have. But overall, man, he was a good player. I think he was hesitant a couple times. But besides that, man, that guy can play, he can jump. He would dunk on you in a minute, you know what I mean? And so you always have to be on your P's and Q's. I really liked him, man. And so they had a good, solid team, man. It was just two good teams. One made history, like coming back from where we were, not even in the playoffs, but just to make it up to that. We did some good stuff, man. And I was probably more happy to kind of beat my boy Sean. You know what I mean? He didn't bring me to the Philippines, you know what I mean? He took another guy, so I was like, okay, I'm about to. And they didn't have an American, so Sean had to play, and so our side. So it was everything there, man. Was just always good experiences and the opportunities. I would never change anything about playing there, and we're on a call right now, an interview right now for something we did in 1991. You can only be blessed and thankful that you had an opportunity to make the impact. And the crazy thing is, I don't know how many people is named Jervis in the Philippines, but it's the craziest thing I've ever experienced, man.
Yeah, because when they idolize you here, it goes to crazy proportions, man. They name kids after you.
I have not met a Jervis in the United States ever. Like, yeah, you see Jarvis, you meet Jarvis, you hear the Jarvis name, but there's not a Jervis. And I've never met one, and never heard of one. And I get a call from a kid years ago talking about he's going to school in New York. And I'm like, damn, is this my kid? Like, thought it.
I was going to ask that because you talked about the 2.5 months you were here and all the models and things like that. There might be some Jervises around here.
My dad and my mom, he says a lot of people named after you. Then I started researching it and going to Facebook and stuff, and there's like thousands of people named Jervis on Facebook. And they got my name, they got my last name, or they got Cole first and then Jervis middle name and their family last. And I'm like, what the hell? So it made me not name my son Jervis. It's like, it's a good services. So I named him Justice. So yeah, the rest is history. But you know,
He
the
plays
DB
ball,
had
plays
so
ball
many
too, right?
people to touch so many people, you know, honestly, and they call their kids, you know, name their kids after you is
Yeah, yeah.
it's so amazing, man. It's just so amazing just to experience this and see it. And I tell people all the time, yeah, look on Facebook how many people name their kids Jervis, and people like, what the hell? Yeah, so it's good, man. I'm happy.
Yeah, but
You got a
the
lot of
career.
30-something-year-old Filipinos named Jervis right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Probably. Jervis Juniors. No, but you know, after playing the PBA, you did mention one of your favorite places to play was in Argentina. You have Fabricio Oberto, and you said Manu. So this is that team, right? One of those seasons.
This team was the leader was Marcelo Milanaccio. He was a guy that one of the top point guards to me was one of the top in the world. Magic Johnson, as he talked about him in his book, when he talked about the world of basketball is catching up with the U.S., he was talking about guys like Marcelo from the Toronto games. I think it was in '88 or something, or two. I forgot what year it was. I think it was in '88, like the tryouts for the Olympics or something, the World Games. No, it was the World Game, and his brother was on the team. You know, we had Diego Sella. We had some studs on this squad, man.
Uh,
And
look how young Fabricio Oberto is there. He's the second
yeah,
guy who
like
left.
20 or 21 or something. When I first played with Manu, we were the number one, number two scorers in Argentina, and he was 19 or 20 when I played with Manu. And he was up in the top division with us, and you know, it was some good basketball, man. There's some tremendous players. The No Shione's uh, brothers was, you know, they were younger. The kid that's the point guard in Denver, from Argentina. Oh my God.
Which one? The one now? The guy now?
Yeah, he's there now.
Papato?
Yeah, he's from.
Yeah.
We used to
Facundo.
live, and so I used to watch him on the beat, you know, in the little leagues and stuff. You know, we used to go watch the little small kids and stuff. So I used to watch him. He was good back then, and it's just so many guys, man, that were good there. And I think that was the biggest shock for me in Argentina was it's not the traditional South American type country, you know, a more European looking. They're tall, you know, they got a lot of tall guys. Uh, so when I got off the plane in Argentina, Buenos Aires, I was like, where am I? I had to go back to the American Airlines desk and ask them, where am I? They said, you're in Argentina, because I didn't know that. It's kind of like Philippines, right? They have a lot of Spanish descent, right? Was there. They have Spanish, German, and Italian as a lot of their people,
Right.
and it was just amazing to be in that country. And they are absolutely wild about basketball. You know, soccer is their first sport, but basketball is a close second. Yeah, all of the club teams, soccer club teams, had basketball clubs. So from Boca Juniors and all these teams, they had, you know, basketball programs. So, you know, the same fan just translated over to basketball after soccer.
When did you end your basketball career, Jervis? Was it after playing in Argentina?
Yeah, I ended up getting hurt. Um, and had surgery. I had two back-to-back surgeries, and one was on my Achilles, and one was on my. I was playing with Manu when I blew my Achilles out in Buenos Aires,
Wow.
and he went on to play in Europe, and then of course NBA. We were both getting recruited by the same team because he had an Italian passport. So he was gonna be a national, and I was gonna be the American, and we ended up when I came back to Argentina, then it really started having some knee issues, and I didn't blow anything out. Turned out I had 1-inch bone spurs on both patella tendons.
Ooh. Ouch.
But, yeah, so the whole time people telling me I had tendonitis, I actually had bone spurs growing for a freaking decade, and so that's a major surgery to remove those. I come back from that, and I went to France for half a season, and they started playing my money. I think that was in 2000, 2001, something like that. And soon as they started saying they're gonna pay me less or something, even though I was playing better than my contract, I called my agent and told me, "Get me out of here. I'm going home." And I never went back and played basketball.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And then, what?
I
Just
think
curious. I didn't get to ask earlier. What degree did you earn at Fresno State?
studied business.
Okay. And you got into business after basketball, right?
Yeah, I never got the degree. I left and I had a semester. I never went back. I started playing pro.
Okay.
Then after I got back, I ended up doing a lot with trying to figure out what the hell I want to do with the rest of my life. Right, I'm 31. I have no clue what I'm gonna do, and but I've never been afraid of work. So I ended up going into radio sales with a really good friend of mine who was a general manager. I did that for 3 years. Then while I was doing that, I started working at Fresno State with Tarkanian as assistant, grad assistant. Um, his last year at Fresno State with Jerry Tarkanian. And then I ended up working and becoming a district manager in this company that was number one company for Walmart. And then while I was doing that, I was called by a really good friend. It was like, "Look, I want you to help me with this fighter that I have." And I'm like, "What
Mm-hmm.
fighter?" You tell me this guy named Chuck Liddell, UFC Chuck Liddell. And yeah, and I was just like, I have no clue who the hell that is. But I went and helped him, and he liked the way that I worked, and he was like, "Man, you want to work with the company?" And I decided I'll work with him and became the vice president of a company called Zinc and Entertainment. And at the time, we had Chuck Liddell. And then the next year, we signed Forrest Griffin, all UFC fighters. And then we got Josh Koscheck, Mike Swick, John Fitch, on and on and on. But the guys I worked with constantly at that time was Chuck Liddell and Forrest Griffin. Then after about 5 years, I started my own company, consulting and management on my own. So I ended up signing Rashad Evans, John Jones, Nate Marquardt, all these UFC guys. Then from there, I just started working with almost anybody that needed management or consulting. And now I own my own gym. I have my own TV show that's about to come out with a TV network here.
Wow.
Yeah, we're doing a street ball show, and we're very excited about it. We signed a deal here in the U.S. With Bespoke TV, which is on Viacom, and then we signed a deal with a company in the UK called Insight, a TV company. Insight is in 40 different countries, so now we're an international show. Still haven't filmed one episode yet. We ended up doing a 2-year deal with them. We did a deal with Vizio TV and TV Network. So we're going to be hitting the ground in millions of homes worldwide. So we're very excited. Guys that you see like on Ball is Life and stuff like that. Kenny Dobbs, White Iverson, all these guys are part of our cast. So, so what it is basically a street ball show. We start out in New York, Rutgers Park, and work our way all the way here to the U.S. To California. 10 episodes. And we just gonna play against the best street ballers on the planet. Tell these guys individual stories. Talk about the stories of the parks that we're in, Rutgers and everywhere else, and the communities we're in. And Insight in the UK loves it. So we're going to be all over the world, man. We start shooting episodes in the next 30, 40 days. And I'm just super stoked on that. And, when I say stuff happened in my life that just unexpected, all of this stuff is unexpected, that I'll be working with these type people and producing a TV show. And we're already talking a spinoff with, Rafer Austin. Are you familiar with Rafer?
Yeah. Yes.
They call him Skip to Malou.
Yeah, he's a Fresno State guy too, right?
Yeah, with the Fresno. Him and I spoke this morning. We want to have him on the show. A couple episodes talking about the New York and when we go to Houston, and we may work with him on some stuff. So him and I are gonna, I'm gonna bring his AAU program to California. I want to open my own prep school. to get kids from around the world and kids here. So, my mind never stops, and I just work with so many tremendous people that help in so many different arenas, and any idea I have people around that want to help me with it. And I'm fortunate to have the brain that I have, to never just look at it, always thinking grandiose, just the biggest you can, and making it happen. To be producing a TV show in 40 different countries is, like, to me, is crazy. I would love for it to be in the Philippines, at some point. And the second season is we will travel international. And so the second season will be all over the world. It's just, going from multiple countries.
When was the last time you were in the Philippines?
When we won. No, the second season when I lost, when we was out of the playoffs.
92.
Yeah.
92. Okay, so you haven't come back since then.
No, I've had a couple opportunities. One of my really good friends went out there on a business trip. He wanted me to go. He worked with, top business people there, and he wanted me to come, and I just couldn't make it. And we were going private too. I couldn't make it. And I wanted to go when Jalen was just there with Mike Hill and Justin and those guys, but I found out late about the trip, so I just didn't. I wasn't going to rush it. And so, yeah, I'm gonna come out there. I just haven't decided when, or
Right.
I had the right opportunity. Then COVID just threw a monkey wrench and everything. So I still haven't got on the plane since they opened up everything, and still kind of nervous on that. I don't want to get, I got COVID once. I didn't get very sick at all, but I lost friends. So, I'm kind of leery of COVID and other illnesses.
Right. Understandably so. But,
all these
you had a
pictures
great...
that we see right here. Sorry, all these pictures that we see right here, these are Manila visitors. Steven Seagal, of course, on the right side. And what's your relationship with these guys? I mean, coming in here to the Philippines, and then they tell you the stories about the Philippines. Mike Swick was actually also here once. I have a picture with him. What were the stories that they told you about their experiences in the Philippines?
Which guys? The MMA guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, some of them, like Steven Seagal, is a frequent visitor.
Steven Seagal, we see him a lot.
I saw a photo. You were Brian McKnight, who's always here.
Steven came on. We were doing he wanted to talk to the UFC fighter Daniel Cormier, right? And I'm with DC as an executive road manager, and we're preparing, I think, for the first John Jones fight. And we were in the UFC training center in Vegas, and he came in, and that's when I met him. And I didn't really talk to him much about anything. Just great to see him and get a photo, but he was really talking to Daniel a lot. And with George Foreman, that's when I was with Walmart, and he did a book signing, so I had a chance to sit down and talk to him. So, when I got a crazy life. My life is insane. I'm always in front of somebody famous and stuff like that. So I find myself in the right places a lot.
That's right. I encourage everybody to check out jerviscole.com. You're going to see a lot of photos of Jervis with all these celebrities and everything, and it's just great. I'm sure there are stories behind each and every encounter you've had with them, but it's great to know, Jervis, that after basketball, you've been successful at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned about, so you want to do some basketball work here in the Philippines, and maybe your show, you want to bring it here, your TV series. Well, Noel is always a guy who can help you out with that. So, just let us know how we can help you in both ways, the basketball side and then bringing the entertainment side here. If you need us, we're here to help you. Alternative basketball can help you out, I guess.
Somebody want to buy the show, come on as a partner in the Philippines. We don't have a Filipino network partner yet.
Yeah, well, that can be arranged.
Yeah. Just let us know. Just shoot him a message.
It's going to be good. This show is going to be good. You don't get picked up for 2 years on the #3 network in the UK, and you haven't shot an episode yet. People know this show is going to be good.
Mm-hmm. That can be arranged. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay, then and I was talking to Sean Chambers, and Sean, I think, was interviewing for a job as a coach there, and I'm like, if he got the Philippines, it would be good.
A couple of years ago.
So Sean and I talk a lot. He's very successful here in girls basketball, and And so, you know, so
Sean's a
all
friend.
of
Sean's a
guys,
friend.
Yeah. Well, Sean's been on the show also.
Yeah,
You know,
Sean's a friend of our show. And all of us have spoken to him. And he's a legend here too. You know, he's at the Bobby Parks level. You know, there.
Yeah.
Because he was here. You know, he won a bunch of championships.
he played there for 25 years.
Forever till he was limping. He already said he could barely walk, and he was still playing. So
He was still playing.
But that's a great story from Sean as well. But you know, Jervis, thanks for sharing all your stories. Before we go into our regular segments, before we end the show, I want to ask you, who are the 5 Filipino players that you remember the most? Like, who are the best, the guys that stuck out in your 2 years that you played here?
Well, for sure, Rudy was one. I love playing with Rudy. And Benji, you know, I told you he was a tremendous player. The guard that was there, what was his name? Magnano something?
Maxano.
Oh, yeah, he was just a hard-nosed dude. The one that my boy Chito that was with us, and God, he didn't look like he can play, but the guy can freaking play his butt off, right? He was a couple pounds overweight, but he was always doing his thing.
Well, not anymore. Baseball. Not anymore. You won't recognize him when you see him. He's slimmed down a lot now.
No, pictures online. I still follow a lot of people, man. And I see him, and I see Rudy all over the place with his girl pouch on, his little purse, and glasses. So I still watch guys, and then of course Jaworski, you know, and those guys all just, you know, was impressive to me. And when people was like, man, there's no tall people or good people in the Philippines, I'm like, shit, there's a lot of people that's good and tall and really have to play. And you know, you guys pushed us to the limit and pushed me to the limit every time I got on the court. So yeah, you know, those are the 5 that I think really made impressions. And my boy, you know, Toby, we just hung out 24/7, man, and also JB, and those guys were younger, but we hung out and just had fun.
Well, JV's a TV commentator now, so he gets to talk a lot.
Yeah. And I've been talking to him too, so he's going to be on the show pretty soon. JV Gayoso will be.
Hi, man.
Yeah. All right, Charlie.
Let's enter the last segment of our show. Just signify that we're about to end. This is the Twilight Zone, Mr. Jervis Cole. The first part of our Twilight Zone is called X's or O's. It's brought to us by Hinalaban Farms, where you can get adlai and coffee and flour. Check out the hinalabanstore.com on Lazada and Shopee as well. Okay, X's or O's. For this part, Jervis, I'm just going to give you some choices. Just tell me who your choice or who or what your choice is. You don't have to explain. It's a list. We'll go down a list, okay? So let's start. Number 1, Jaworski as coach or Jaworski as player?
Coach,
okay. Pido Harencio or Rudy Distrito?
Rudy,
okay. Pestorich or Ron Adams?
Adams,
okay. Chito Loizaga or Dante Gonzalgo?
Don.
No, Dante Gonzalgo or Chito?
Chito,
okay. Don't your guy too. Bobby Parks or Sean Chambers?
Got to go with Bobby.
Okay. How about these guys? Played here too. Dwayne McClain or Louis Lloyd?
Wow. I'm going with Lloyd.
Finally got him there.
Yeah, I'm going.
I got you to hesitate a little bit. Okay?
Yeah. I just haven't heard these names in so long.
Yeah. How about this? Larry Bird or Magic Johnson?
Magic.
Celtics or Lakers?
Lakers,
yes. California guy. Okay. LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
Right now, Jordan.
Okay.
LeBron win another championship, bro.
Okay. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Kareem, yes, sir. Okay. Winston Cright or Derek Chivas?
Winston,
okay. How about Ronnie Magsanok of Shell or Hector Calma of San Miguel Beer? You remember them?
Yeah.
Of course you remember Magsanok.
Yeah.
Magsanok, okay. You like playing defense or offense?
Defense.
Defense. Washington Union or Fresno State?
Washington Union.
Wow, Washington Union. All right. Okay. And then this one. Can you show the photos? Aaron, are you there? Let's show the photos just to make him choose the two. At the end, did you add them? Okay, I want. There's no photo. Okay, Al Pacino or Robert De Niro?
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. Okay. Will Smith or Denzel Washington?
Denzel.
Denzel. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Those are
gotta
the
be
usuals.
Denzel.
Okay, that's X's or O's for episode 147 of AEOB. I throw it over now to Noel Zarate. Go, Noel.
Yep, and this portion is, I believe, okay, this portion is brought to us by Seryoso Chili Garlic. There you go. Seryosong Tanong brought to us by Seryoso Chili Garlic, delicious aromatic and crispy chili garlic in pure coconut oil made with natural, locally sourced ingredients, no preservatives, no artificial flavorings, and no salt. At ito ang chili na seryosong maanghang at kaya kang ipaglaban di tulad ng ex mo. So basically, Jervis, this question is, I want to know who your 5 favorite teammates are of all time. It can be from Washington, it can be from Fresno, it can be from the PBA from Argentina, but you got to name only 5 of all time.
5 players from Washington Union, my twin brother, Jarvis. In Argentina, I had, in Fresno State, Mike Mitchell.
Okay.
Then in Argentina, I had Marcelo Milanaccio.
Okay.
Also Fabrizio Alberto. Then I loved playing with Rudy over in Philippines.
Wow.
Rudy
okay.
the Destroyer.
Rudy gets the nod. Rudy gets the nod from the PBA. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was my Seryosong Tanong brought to us by Seryoso Chili Garlic. So now to Sid Ventura.
Okay, Jervis, my turn. Now, this segment is brought to you by Barrio Fiesta. I don't know if you ate here during your stay here, but they have really good crispy pata and kare-kare. It's been around for a long time. Kain na tayo. Visit the Makati Avenue branch. Okay, my question for you also, singing cooks and waiters.
There you go.
And Rojas Boulevard. Okay, my question, Jervis, if you could have dinner with one basketball player, past or present, hypothetical, who would it be?
And why?
Yeah, and why?
Probably LeBron.
Okay.
Just because he's such not only is he a good basketball player, but he's also, for whatever reason, people don't like him, but I think he's a tremendous person, been with the same girl since high school. And then when it comes to business, he's one of the top business guys in sports in the United States.
All right.
It's hard. No basketball player has ever been $1 billion current playing athlete. You know what I mean? And he's making all the right moves right now, and definitely would love to sit down and pick his brain.
I hope he makes the playoffs this coming season, though. I'm a Laker fan, so.
You Laker fans unite.
I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah. Okay. I want some news on that, man, soon. Anyway, lots of news on the Celtics side, but not too much on the Lakers side. I don't know.
Don't worry about the Celtics. We'll be fine.
Nobody cares about the Celtics.
Okay, well, so that's it for that. That's the segment for that. And this is it. So the last segment is called Hello Porky. It's the greeting portion, Jervis. So this is the time, in your long basketball career, I'm sure there are people you want to shout out to, acknowledge, thank, maybe just say hi, shout out to guys who asked you to shout out to them for this. Now's the time.
Well, for one, I want to just give a shout out to definitely the Never Wanna Yell fans. There's so many guys and girls that has asked me to say happy birthday over the years. Just so much, man. Just to have people reach out to you from around the world and want you to talk to them and reply to them. And I try to as much as possible. But definitely want to say hi to Jaworski, all my old teammates, the fans. Had a really good friend, William Uy, businessman there. So, hopefully I get an opportunity to come there in the very near future and be able to have that celebration party that I never had when I left.
That's it.
Wow.
Rather than name all of them, just this general shout out from Jervis Cole to Ginebra fans in particular, of course. But that's why you're known here. That's why you're Jervis Cole here in the Philippines, is because of Ginebra. Lots of shout outs from the fans as well. They've been greeting you in the comment section. You can check them back later on. I'm sure there are some familiar names that you're going to see, Jervis, once you watch back the episode. You see them at the bottom. So we thank everyone for watching episode 147. As usual, thanks for all the support. This show is brought to us by San Miguel. We're powered by San Miguel Corporation. And of course, we have all our sub-segment sponsors. Thank you to Hinalaban, Champ's House of Chicken, Ni Hao, Seryoso, Barrio Fiesta, Singing Cooks and Waiters for coming along with us on this journey on the eternity of basketball. We'd like to greet our birthday celebrants from the past week. Happy birthday to Harold Keeling, Dick Ildefonso, Bayo Ledesma. That's a referee. I think he called the technical on you. Willie Tanduyan, Steve Watson, and Joey Loizaga. These are the birthday guys. That's the brother of Chito, is Joey. So it's his birthday yesterday, and then the rest of the guys this past week. Happy birthday to all our AEOB alumni. Thanks to PH Sports Bureau and to PBA Archive for all the help with photos and some information that we get. To Globally Ballin Network, of course, thank you. And of course, many thanks, huge bunch of thanks to Mr. Jervis Cole for coming on and sharing your stories with us. Good luck in your endeavors. I know you're busy, all the showbiz, on the showbiz side right now, but you put on a show for us back in 91 and 92. We won't forget that. And we thank you for coming on the show, Jervis.
I appreciate it. Can I ask one question?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Please give me some video from the PBA archives. That'd be amazing.
Okay.
There are a lot of clips on YouTube. Ginebra games.
Yeah.
They're all about Game 7 of 1991 championship. It's like I can't find anymore.
We'll send you the link. We'll try to dig up some links and
definitely. And everyone else who's watching, if you've got some Jervis Cole highlights in your computers or whatever, send them over to us. We'll forward them to Jervis. And check out jerviscole.com to learn more about what he's doing and see him with all these celebrities. Because he's a celebrity himself, right?
That's
he's
right.
not Wesley.
That's right.
He's not Wesley Snipes. He's Jervis Cole. Okay. Yes, sir. All right, Jervis. Thank you so much. Adios, and we thank everyone for watching the episode 147.
Thank
now
you.
in the books. God bless you all. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned on our Facebook page for who is going to be our next guest on An Eternity of Basketball. For Sid Ventura and Noel Zarate, I'm Charlie Cuna. We're signing off. Thank you, everyone. Jervis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jervis.
Thank you, Jervis.
All right.